this map's telling me there's no yield there. You go, what's this? There's something wrong with this. Well, I asked him, did you plot out the location map? No, because the software, the only thing it gives me is the yield map. It doesn't tell me where the combine is. So we had to fight through and get to the raw data that this pretty map came out of. And he showed me the raw data. And that's what it looks like. Now here, the GPS was doing just fine. Got nice parallel swaths, points here. Maybe missing a point every now and then, something like that. But over here, holy cow, all hell broke loose. The guy's driving all over his field. He's lost. He doesn't know where he's going. He's like driving at night, maybe had a couple of drinks. But no, this was a cornfield, so he can't be all over the field. Well, what happened is his GPS went bad. And when he plotted it, he had an interesting software routine that instead of calculating bushels per acre, it would take a little raster or a little box and would count the yield in that little box. Raster type mapping as opposed to vector style type. And so if you look at the yield right at that point, what's the yield? There's no yield. You look at the yield right there. Whoa, look at the yield. It's crazy. I got a huge amount. I got 500 bushels per acre growing in that one spot. Okay, so moral of the story is raw data, look at the map, make sure your track is where it's supposed to be. Make sure you have parallel swaths, you're not missing part of the field, etc. You have uniform field coverage, etc. Okay, that was 1999. USDA RS. All right. Now, so that's number 3. Develop the combine location map. Number 4, determine the size of your field. Oh, that's easy now with 9.3. Used to be crazy hard, stupidly hard. And the total yield for your field. Ooh, I got to figure out the total yield from that data. It's going to be interesting. I'll let you figure out how to do that. Total yield in bushels from all that data. Size and total yield of your field. Then, yeah, what does this guy want? He wants you to develop a yield map. Thematically map the yield in bushels per acre and draw the high and low performance areas. You could do it with colors, however you want to do it. Thematically map, this is high, this is low, just shaded, light to dark, however you want to do it. Where are the high areas, where are the low areas? Okay. Then, what I want you to do is to do IDW, and you can circle that by hand, and that's going to be in bushels per acre. Okay. That's the yield map, typically done in bushels per acre. And now, number 6, I want you to use IDW interpolation. The default power, which is what?
2.
A 20-point influence, meaning 20 points radius, and develop a yield map based on that. So you're going to get something that probably looks something like this. Now, what may happen, though, is that you may get yield out here when in reality your field is like that. Okay, and then these are the bushels per acre that you're getting, low to high. Okay, so you're going to get that. That's pretty easy, right? Everybody can do that. A couple of clicks, pops up. Got to make sure it's the right thing. Now, what part of the field show higher yield? So kind of confirm that the higher yields here are the same as the higher yields for your thematic map. Looks pretty easy, doesn't it? Now, I need to develop an application rate map to vary your input fertilizer. Based on that map.
Is that going to be like a formula or something?
Ooh, how do I do that? How do we do that? I mean, I got the yield, but how do I determine how much fertilizer I want to put? That's the think part, right? All this has been the look part. Now we've got to put some intelligence into this. Now, if I was going to do this, and there are so many variables, how can I do that? There's so many variables. There's moisture content, organic matter of the soil, how much rain I'm going to expect, what's my yield. So I got to think about a yield goal. A yield goal. I got to shoot for a certain yield. Okay. Now, if I've got if I've got a part of my field that has a high yield, okay, which is maybe the dark areas, and I've got part of my field that's, and this is the same data that you have, that's got low yield over here. It's low. That's high. And I need to develop a variable rate application rate map. Well, some people would say, well, look at this. You're not getting a lot of yield out of here. It must be like deficient. I need to put more fertilizer into that area and really get my yield up. Other people say, you're wasting your time with that. That's a low yielding area. Not much you can do with that. Don't waste the fertilizer. Put the fertilizer over here where you got good soil, you got good yield, and pump up that. What way to go? What should I do? What's the Tennessee recommendation? If you took this to an extension service guy and they would make a recommendation.
Fertilize the low clause.
We fertilize now to some degree.
We would want to know
What's your soil properties, pH?
Right. Yeah, we want to know how much nitrogen or fertilizer we have in the soil, residual nitrogen.
yield limiting factors.
What's that?
The yield limiting factor.
The yield limiting factor. Is that due to insects over there? Is it due to compaction? What's causing that low yield? We don't know what's causing the low yield. So who do? We get a whole bunch of crop consultants out there fighting amongst themselves trying to get business. Any crop consultants here? Okay. Well, so we're trying to figure out what's causing the low yield. And the goal, and I think in my mind, is that you really should look at the parameters, which is costly, and figure out what's the optimum yield for a certain area. Now, optimum, that's easy for me to say. It's going to be based on what happened last year, and that's why some people say, well, do this a couple of years, find out what the trends are, find out what the sustainable yield is for a certain area, and then shoot for that. But you can look at the soil and you can figure out, but the problem is we're not God, right? We only have limited knowledge. We don't know how much it's going to rain. We don't know how the insects are going to go. And you can do stochastic programming or statistical analysis and random number generators and all sorts of stuff. But this is what we got. That's all we got right now. So, we do have to develop a yield goal based on this. Meaning, what's the desired yield?